Hello guys, welcome to TechSet blog and this is Surujit. In this video, we are going to take a look at Strapi, which is an open source headless content management system, and Strapi makes it incredibly easy to create REST APIs with JSON Web Tokens authentication. You can create relationships between your content types and you get this great admin area similar to what you would have on WordPress, except you are not bound to any specific frontend. You can use whatever frontend you want. If you want to build it with React or Vue or whatever framework, because all it does is serves JSON data. So we are going to create a REST API with products, categories, and also implement users and authentication system. I'm just going to show you around the admin area a little bit, and then we will also jump in the code and I will show you how you can override and customize things as well. So this is the website here, strapi.io, and if you go to get started, you will see the little tutorials and documentation which is pretty good. And we want to create a new project, so you can install Strapi globally with yarn or npm, but we can also use npx and just run this create Strapi app similar to create React app. Now in terms of data in database, you can use MongoDB or PostgreSQL or MySQL. If you use the quick start option, it's going to set up with SQLite, and that is what I'm going to do so that I don't have to set up a database. But you can easily implement MongoDB or something else, and I will show you where you can add those credentials. I just have an empty folder here and I'm going to run npx create Strapi app, and then we would put a folder where we want this to go. I want it to go in this folder, so I will just put a dot and then dash quick start, and that should just set up everything for us. And as soon as this is done, it should open up a new window where it asks us to create an admin user for our admin area. Alright, so it opens this page up here on localhost port 1337 by default. So here we just need to create a username, a password, and an email, and then we can ready to start, and it should take us to our admin area. And it's very clean, not as cluttered as something like WordPress. It just gives us the stuff we need, and there is actually a concept of plugins which I will get into in a second. But there is this collection types, and you can see we already have users. So we have the functionality to create users, which I will do in a little bit, but I want to create some new content types. So under plugins, you will see there is a content types builder. If we click on that, you will see that there is a collection types. So user is one of them, and then we have the fields for the users. So username, email, provider. This provider we can use different type of authentication providers like GitHub, Google, and Twitter, and we can also have authentication or login from our database, which is what we are going to do. And you can have password, reset password token, confirmed. So all the stuff comes right out of the box. We have another collection type like role, permissions. Now I want to create a new collection type called product, and I want to keep it singular because Strapi will actually use the plural version when it creates the endpoints. So we will say product and continue. And now we can start to select what fields we want. So it's a product, so I am going to have a text field. So I am going to choose text right here and make this the title. So we can do short text, and if we go to advanced, you can have a default value, regular expression, pattern, and then under settings I am going to choose required and unique for the title, and I will click add another field, and you can see all the different types of data. Here we have number, date, boolean, email, relationships, media, all types of stuff. So I'm going to choose text again, and this is going to be description, and I'm going to choose long text for this, and then add another field, and then I will choose number, and this is going to be the price field, and you can choose the type of number. I'm going to choose decimal, add another field, number, and the last one is going to be quantity, and we will choose an integer for that. Okay, so we will just click finish, and now it's going to give us a summary of all the fields that we want to create, and then we just click and it will create our product type. So you can see it over here, and it's actually plural now. Now before we add any data, just want to create another collection type called category. Then continue. I'm going to choose text, and we are going to have a name for our category. We will go ahead, and this is going to be required and unique. I will click add another field, and the only other field I want is a relation to my product collection type. So we will click relation. So we want to relate category, and then we can choose a collection that we want to relate it to, which is going to be product. And there is different types of relationships. So if you want to have like one category per product or whatever, you can. I'm going to choose many to many, so it says categories has and belongs to many products, because I want to be able to choose multiple categories for our products. So we will click finish. So now we can have our name and products relationship, and we will click save. We have a categories collection type. So let's go over here to categories, and this is where we can actually add our data. Add new category. We will call this mobile phones, and then save. Add another category, let's say tablet, and you can use whatever data you want, and then we will create one more called laptops. So we can have our categories. Now let's go over to products, and let's say we want to add a new product. So iPhone 11, and I have a description, price 64900, and then quantity we will say we have 60 in stock. And then under categories we can see the three categories we just created. I'm going to choose mobile phones and save. Okay, let's add another product, Samsung Galaxy S10, and I'm going to paste a description in there, and price will be 551480, and quantity will be 30, and that is also mobile phones. And then we will create one more product, which will be an iPad, and grab a description. Price we will say 32999, and we will say we have 50 of them, and we want to choose tablets for that category. And you can choose multiple categories because of the way we set up the relationship. So now we have some data. Now I am going to open Postman. So if you are not familiar with Postman, it is just an HTTP client, allows us to make GET requests, POST requests, and all that, just like your front end would do. I'm going to open a new tab and make a GET request to HTTP localhost, and we want port 1337/products. By default, it is going to give us a status of 403, which means forbidden. It means that we don't have access to the resource. Now that everything you create is always going to be forbidden at first, it is going to be basically set to private. So we have to change some of the permissions. So let's go back to our admin area, and let's go down to under plugins. You will see these roles and permissions. So there is two default roles, authenticated and public, but you can create new roles if you want. However, I am going to click on public, and you will see under permissions we have our product and category collection, and we can choose public. So I'm going to choose count, so we can just count our products. Find, which means basically list all the products, and then find one, which is just finding a single product. And we will do the same for category. We don't want create, delete or update. We want that to be private for authenticated users. So let's go ahead and click save, and then let's go back to Postman and try to make this request again. And you will see now we are able to fetch all of the products, and we have an ID that is created automatically, which is auto increment. We have this created and updated at field that gets added automatically, and then a categories array. It's an array because we can have multiple categories. We can also check out a single product. So if we add single slash then 1, that will just give us the ID of 1 now. We can also add query parameter. So if we put a question mark, we can do like underscore limits. Let's set it to limit 2, and then let's do ampersand and underscore sort, and we will set that to title. So if we run that, you will see that we only get 2 products response back, and they are sorted by title. So by default, right out of the box, you have stuff like this, and you can look in the documentation for other query parameters. And of course, we can check out categories. So if we do like category /1, it gives us just the products in that specific category. So pretty cool. And this would take quite a bit of code just to create a REST API like this. Now I want to open up a new tab here, and I am going to try to add a new product because this is a REST API. So we can just make a post request to create a new product. So I am going to grab /products, and we are going to body section and choose raw, then JSON, and we will add a product. We know we have a title. I will just say test product. For description, I will just say this is a test product, and then we have price. So for price 4,000, and for quantity we have 70. Alright, so if I try this, we are getting 403 back because we didn't set a permission for this to make a post request. Because when we make a post request, it's running the create method. So let's go back into our admin area, and we are going to need a user. So if we go to users, then add new user, we'll just call this user John, and email will just say john@gmail.com. Password will do 1 through 6, and we want to confirm the user because you can actually have a flag for confirmed if you want to have email confirmation or whatever there is. Also a blocked option as well, and then for role we can choose one of our 2 roles. I'm going to choose authenticated so that they can access things like create. Now just doing that is it still not going to work because we actually have to go to our roles and permissions, and under authenticated we want to go down, and I'm going to choose select all for both product and categories. So we can do all of this stuff as an authenticated user. So we will save that, and now we should be all set. Now if I send this again, we still get 403 because the way this works is we use a JSON web token. So we have to open another tab and make a post request to http localhost port 1337/auth/local because we are using a local strategy. We are not using something like GitHub or Twitter or something to log in. We are using local database fields. So under body we want to send raw, then JSON, and we want to send an object with an identifier, and this identifier can be either the username or the email. I will just put in John, which is our username, and then the password I am going to put in the password that is wrong. First I will do 1 through 7 and we get back a 400 bad request, and you can see we have an array of messages and one of those identifier or password is invalid. So you can use this in your front end to display this as an alert, or you can actually edit the code if you want to change error messages and stuff like that. But let's go ahead and log in with the correct credentials, and what we get back is an object with a JSON web token and then also some user data. So I'm going to grab the JSON web token. Obviously you would do this in your application. You would probably save this to cookies or local storage or whatever, and then you would send it along when you want to make a request to a protected route such as these products. This create products, so that we need to do is just in Postman we can set the authorization bearer token, paste that new token in, and now if I send, we get a 200 response back, and it just gives us our object, so it gives us the product we created now. If we make get request to /products, we should see right here, we see our new test product. If we go back to our admin area to products, we should see it here as well, and we can even edit it. We can add a category to it, put this in laptops. We can change some fields here if we want. You can save it. Okay, so everything we are doing in Postman, obviously you would do that through your front end, whatever that might be. There is even a media library for images and video and stuff like that. There is a marketplace with other plugins, and you can implement GraphQL. Now I would like to look at the code a little bit. So if we jump into VS Code, we have basically created this API with authentication and sorting and all that without writing one line of code. So if we go over here, we have some just basic config and stuff like that. If we take a look at the package.json, we have Strapi along with a bunch of Strapi plugins and utilities. Now if you stop the server and want to run it again, you can run npm run Strapi develop, and that will run your development server, and then you can build it with Strapi build. We have our public folder here which just has an uploads folder in it for any images or anything like that, and you can put your front-end application in there. And then as far as the database goes, if we go to config, we have this environments folder with 3 different environments: development, production and staging. And you can set different variables and different databases for different environments. So for instance, in our development environment, if I look at database.json, you can see I am using SQLite, so that's where all my data is getting saved right here. Now under production, if you go to database.json, you have some other fields like host, port, username, database. So if you were to use something like MongoDB, you could change this client here and you would put in your credentials, and now all the stuff is in the documentation, but this is where you would set your database, and you can even have a staging environment as well. So that is the config that I would say the most important folder. Here is the API folder, because this is everything that we just did. You can see we have category and product, and in each of these folders we have a config folder with routes. So you can see all of our routes. So get request to products, this will run product.find as a handler. So it will call a controller method find, which then calls the service find, which I will show you in a second, and it will fetch the data as you saw. So we just have all of our routes here. If we go to controllers, you can see it's completely empty here, but you can basically override certain methods, and there is even a link here you can follow to customize your controllers. But just to give you a quick example, if we want to override our find method, we could do async find, and this takes in a context, and then let's say we want to get our products, so we will say const products, and then let's await, because this returns a promise, strapi dot services dot, and then product, because that's the name of our content type that we want to fetch, and then dot find, and then you pass in the context dot query, so that should get us our products, and then we can map through those. So let's say return products dot map, and we want to for each product, so we want to return just the title, so just need product dot title. I will do a console log just so you can see that this is running. We will just say fetching title. So if I go ahead and save this, and I make a get request to products, that is gonna call find. So if I send, you will see now we are only getting back the title of each product, because I overrode the product controller, and you will see a console log fetching title down here. So it is pretty easy to override these methods. Now I am going to just get rid of this because I don't want to keep that, but I just wanted to show you. So I called strapi.services.products.find, and you can even override services. So if we go down here, and there is a link right here that you can follow if you want to look more into this. But let's say find, and this takes in params and populate, and let's just say console.log, and I just want to show you that this the services gets called. So we will say service called, and then I still want to return, and we can use strapi.query. Then we put in here the collection we want. So product, I think it's a singular product, and then we can say dot find, and then pass in params and populate. So that should still gives us the same response, but you should see this down here just to show you that I am going to send. So we get our initial response back, and then if we look down in our console, we get service called. So you can manipulate it however you want, both the controller and the services that is called. So I'm just going to clear that out, and then the last thing I'm going to show you here is the model. In model you have two files. One is going to be this settings.json, which is basically like our schema. So above attributes we have some options like increments and timestamps, but inside the attributes we have all of our files. This is similar to what you would see in Mongoose model if you were using Mongoose. We have the title, which is the type of string, required, unique, description, price, quantity, categories. So you can customize this if you want. This is basically like the schema, and then product.js. This is really cool. There is a bunch of lifecycle methods where you can do certain things at certain times. So we have after save, we have before save. If we want to run some kind of functionality when you save a product, or before you save or after you save. So that's it guys. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time.